The 4 pillars of customer acquisition. This is the third pillar of customer acquisition. So make sure that before you watch this video, you've watched the other videos about customer acquisition, because they form a very important foundation of the customer acquisition process. If you've not watched them, some of the things that I say in this video might not make as much sense. So which is the third pillar of customer acquisition? It's obviously marketing, like I mentioned in one of the previous videos. So marketing is the third pillar of customer acquisition. But what is marketing? To look at that, because this now depends on the other 2 pillars, which is positioning and branding. Let's start by looking at what these 2 are. So we say that positioning is getting into the customer's mind and identifying a space that is unoccupied. Then in branding, we say that branding is differentiation. So you create a unique identity about your business. So one thing is very clear about these 2, that in both positioning and branding, there is no movement. Everything is done in situ, or statically. Positioning happens inside the mind of the customer. There's no movement. You're not putting anything there. You're just going there and identifying a space that is unoccupied. Branding involves creation of a unique identity. You're doing that at the organizational level. You're not taking that brand anywhere. You just create that unique identity. When we get to marketing, this is where we see the first sign of movement, because marketing is taking the brand that you created during branding and putting it in the mind of the customer and placing it in the space that you identified was unoccupied. I'll say that again. In marketing, you see movement because you're taking the brand that you created during branding and you putting it in the mind of the customer and placing it in the space that you identified was unoccupied. That is marketing. Now, I need you to pay attention to the fact that we are not in any way referring to the product or the service or anything else. We're just referring to the movement of the brand and the process of taking it into the customer's mind and identifying where to place it. You identified where to place it during positioning. So in marketing, it's just taking it, putting it in the customer's mind and slotting it in the space that you identified was unoccupied during positioning. That's it. So marketing has nothing to do with your product or your service. It's everything to do with the movement of the brand into the customer's mind. That is marketing. So with that in mind, we now move to sales, and that's what we'll be looking at in the next video. Cheers.